So how do you like, you'd like your whole thing is Breana budget. So you're living, I would say you're living financially intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that with groceries, for example? So how does that look in your world? Do you go out to Costco and load up? Which
I'm probably not. Groceries is probably one area I'm not the best. I'm pretty good. Could be better. But for me,
what's your sweet spot then that you really get the gains?
well, I'm really big on obviously because I want to get Qantas points, I'm really good at checking on what's the bonus points and stuff, and I stock up on that whenever. Sale items, if there's something like a staple, like those muesli bars I always buy, if they're on sale, I stock up.
Yeah.
But I do have to hide them from my husband because he thinks if there's more, he eats more, which no, it's not the case. So I do that. I remember when I was younger, my dad always said to me, never, ever grocery shop hungry. Because you will end up with multiple snacks in your trolley that do not need to be there.
Yep.
So that's one thing I always eat before I go. And always having a grocery list too.
Yes.
I don't mind meal prepping. I know some people don't like eating the same thing 2 days in a row, but if it's going to save me having to buy lunch at work the next day, that adds up.
Would you say you're a minimalist?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to become a minimalist, what's the first thing that they could do?
I think a lot of people find minimalism overwhelming because they look at everything they have and they're like, oh, I could never, this, it's too much. So they don't do it. The best thing to do is I read the Minimalist book years ago and that was like a flick in my brain and I knew how to start doing it from them. So pick a category and start with that. It could be your mug cupboard. Go through your mugs. You don't
How
need
dare you.
You don't need 20 mugs, maybe 6.
This one's in most of my podcast episodes, is the one I use most days.
Yeah, cute. Find your perfect one. I've got one at home that
I had my flower one and I was getting shade from people. They're like, nice flower mug.
No,
I'm like,
a
I
flower
like
would
it.
be nice. What's on the other side of that one?
It's a jumping fox. It's
that's
from
cute.
a
I
cafe
love it.
in Columbus, Ohio called the Tame Fox.
So I got these two little...
No, sorry, that's at Erina. The Fox in the Snow
Where's that?
in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's a little memory. I like that.
Yeah, that's nice.
But you probably don't need a mug every place you travel, whereas a lot of people probably do that as well.
But I'll tell you a funny mug story. I shared this on a podcast the other day with someone. See this mug here.
I have my glasses on.
Oh, you don't? Have a look at that.
Oh, yeah. Did you get that in England?
Yeah. It's the brand is Cath Kidston.
What is it?
It's Cath Kidston.
Right,
is the brand. It's a well-known brand. And it's fine bone china. And this is like my absolute favourite mug. But when I got it home back in 2013, the first time I poured water in it, it cracked.
Oh, no.
So it's now just like a pen holder on my desk.
Yeah, but
I'm going back to London next month. I'm thinking about messaging them on Facebook going, hey, I was in London 2013.
So you want a free one?
Can I get a new mug?
But you probably don't need another mug. That's the
True.
problem. You're over-consuming. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just
So pick a category.
pick a category. That's the easiest place to start. Like I said, your mugs, your Tupperware containers. Like most of them probably don't even have lids or...
Do you think having a clean and clear physical environment helps with all the other stuff in your life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, massively.
Yeah, right.
My brain just instantly, especially for someone like you, could probably benefit having ADHD. My husband has ADHD.
Nice.
If there's clutter in the house, it's just both our moods are just frazzled and it's a lot. And I don't have kids, but a lot of people say to me, but it's my kids' stuff everywhere. But I'm like, who bought all those kids' stuff? Reduce it. They don't need so much stuff.
My sister did the minimalist stuff with kids. They didn't have heaps of crap.
No, I didn't either growing up. So I think I'm pretty lucky in that sense.
Where did you grow up?
Central Coast, so not far.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Were you in South Lake Macquarie area?
Yeah, so I was
YE?
Yeah. So near Nora Headway.
Oh, near Nora Head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. What else? So category. So kitchen's probably a good place to start.
Definitely. I reckon that's where we have the most amount of clutter. And then your wardrobe.
Wardrobe, yeah.
Wardrobe's a big one.
So what do you do with clothing to try and keep on, a budget?
So I think clothing's probably where I started my whole underconsumption journey. And I think that's why a lot of people started following me, seeing how minimal amount of clothes that I actually own is. Because that's where I used to struggle with the most when I was spending was fast fashion. That was my biggest weakness. I think as being a young female, that's probably very common. It's or it's a vicious cycle. Like you just cannot keep up. The trends are constantly coming and the list is ever growing and you just cannot keep up with that list. It's never going anywhere. And so finally realizing that I'm never going to complete the list and I need to just put the list away. It's not going to work. So clothing, getting away from fast fashion, I still like to buy clothes every now and then, just not often. And when I do, I've got like, a little bit of a list I follow, like what's the materials? Is it going to last? If no one ever sees me in this, would I still want to wear it? If I see something I like, I try wait 48 hours before I actually purchase it. Most of the time, I don't go back.
Yeah.
I don't really care about it anymore
It's wild,
because the dopamine's gone.
Yes. But I love dopamine.
I know. It's so great. But
it's
that's
so
where I
good.
just had to learn to find it in other areas because for me, it was spending money on clothes, skincare, all of it. Yeah.
So, you're in your 20s. How have you managed, like you've probably just gone through these big few years of engagement parties and now you might be starting with baby showers or all that stuff, or weddings.
Yeah.
How have you navigated that?
I'm not too strict with that because I do think social events are important to attend and to enjoy. They're a part of life and I'd rather spend money on those than things. But things that help me for like weddings, I'd rather like hire a dress.
Right.
Which is really good. I think that's great because, you can hire a $400 dress that you'd never wear again for a fraction of the price, which is great. Or just wearing something you already have is okay.
Yeah.
No one's going to remember what you wore. Only you will remember what you – like no one else cares about you as much as you care about yourself. So
yeah.
And then with like, babies and stuff like that, I think give them more practical things. Go cook them food when they're home, like with their newborn baby. Or with kids, I think I'd rather spend money on the family having an experience, like a zoo pass or something like that rather than gifts. I would much prefer that.
Awesome. Talk to me about sourdough.
Oh, yeah. So that's something I started this year. So I love making it. But I used to always use the excuse, I don't have time to make things from scratch. But then I noticed my screen time, I can spend 3 hours on social media
it's wild.
and scrolling, but I somehow don't have time to make things from
someone
scratch.
was like, oh, what did you do last night? Like, I went home and literally rotted on the lounge for 3 hours.
And sometimes we need that, and I get that. But often,
sometimes it happens every night.
Every day, that's and that's so normal. But that's where I learnt I need to stop using the excuse, I don't have time. I do have time. Yeah. It's just putting that time in areas that matter, which is way better. And it's great. It teaches you a new skill. The bread tastes amazing.
So how, so you get the starter right, and then do you have to breed the starter?
Yes, you got to feed it.
Feed it.
Yeah, breed it. Like it's its own little creature.
Make love to this yeast or so.
You do have to keep it alive though, which is the hardest part.
Wow.
But it's actually easy. Thank God we have ChatGPT now because any questions I have about it, just ask it and it's easy.
I mean, in sourdough, I think I pay $7.50 for Sonoma at Woolworths.
It's $9.
Is it really?
Yeah, and then sometimes I was paying $11 and we would go 1 to 2 loaves a week and I was like, nah. And then my friend started making it, told me how much she would spend on it and I was like, I could do that. And so, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And I don't know. I like the idea of having all these hobbies, but I'm a starter. I'm not a finisher.
Yeah. It's probably one hobby that I've actually started and stuck with. Yeah.
And talk to me about doggy.
Yeah, my dog. Yeah, he's great. Unfortunately, he's cost me a lot of money over the years.
Yeah. What's the biggest expense involved?
The most expensive loaf of raisin bread. They can't have raisins,
right?
They're highly, highly toxic.
He's a Goldie?
Yeah, and he ate a whole loaf when we weren't home. And I was like, wow, a $3 loaf cost a couple $1,000.
Wow.
So we've never bought it again, but...
Did you have pet insurance or do you just kind of self-insure with
I'm insured
emergency
now.
fund?
That was a massive eye-opener for me to get pet insurance, so definitely insured now. I'm also having a big breed. If he ever, does an ACL or a leg or something, I don't want to fork out $25,000. So pet insurance is so important for that.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone who has stumbled across this chat, they're not making progress on their finances, they feel like they're a bit out of sorts or out of sync with their life or money, what would you say to that person?
Oh, I know how you feel. It's so overwhelming and it feels like just a massive weight on your shoulders and you're never going to be good with money. I remember that feeling. It's horrible, but just know you will get there. you really just need to change your mindset, I think. You're not bad with money. You're just uneducated. And most of us aren't educated. We're not taught this stuff in school. And if your parents don't know it, they're not going to be able to teach you either. So start to learn. Now's the best time for you to be, financially well off, because we have so much out there, podcasts, books, YouTube, social media. Like, learn as much as you can, but also strip it back to basics. Like what I did when I eventually looked at everything and all my debts, start with the smallest number first, get that out of the way. So your smallest debt, get rid of that. Don't worry about what the interest rates are on each of them. Just go the smallest debt first. I think I heard you say that on a podcast the other week too, and I was like, yes, that's what I did.
It's just the debt snowball, because it's about getting those psychological wins as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I loved it. I'd hit one little debt off and then on to the next, which was great. And then also having an emergency fund while you do that is so important. Like, I think we focus so much on the debt that we forget about having the emergency fund. Even if you can just have $1,000 to the side while you're paying off your debt, it's so important, because if an emergency comes up, it's the difference between getting into more debt or being able to stay afloat.
Yeah. And do you have maybe the smartest thing that you've ever stopped spending money on?
Like I said earlier, fast fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the biggest spender for me. Like I said, when I was tracking my spending and I seen how much money was going towards that, it was sickening. And I think a lot of young women probably don't realise how much they're actually spending, because fast fashion can be cheap.
But even like skincare is expensive.
Yeah. I think having previously worked in skin and dermatology, I was very lucky enough to learn less is more.
What, like, in terms of, I don't know if it's even worth going there, but like...
That's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down,
So I use, what do I use? I use ASAP.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got, it's a serum. I think it's B or C or something. And then there's...
one of the vitamins.
There's a serum, and then I use the retinol part, and I mix it with the serum.
Do you wear sunscreen?
Yeah, every day.
Thank God, yes. Yeah. Nothing breaks my heart more than hearing people say they use retinol, but they don't wear sunscreen.
Yeah, and then I just put some, is it Walida skin food on?
Oh, yeah, nice. That's really, really good.
Yeah, so I just keep it simple. But the ASAP stuff, it's nice, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, it's... And there's other people out there that have all this different stuff, and they could be spending hundreds of dollars.
I think where a lot of people spend their money on skincare is trying to keep up with the skincare trends as well, which is not good. Or they're going into Sephora or Mecca and just shopping whatever looks pretty. And it's like you have no idea what you're putting on your skin, and it's probably not even working. And then you're on to the next thing before you even know if that item works. It takes 12 weeks to know if a skincare product is going to work for you or not.
Wow.
So most people don't wait that. And then they're on to the next. And I think it's just a cycle of money. Yeah.
Well, gosh, we've covered a lot of ground. Is there anything that maybe we haven't talked about that you want to discuss or say that I haven't asked you?
I think we've covered everything.
We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
We've got a full-on map.
Been great. It's been a lot of fun.
What, when you go to Europe, what's the plan? Is it to backpack, cheap it out, or get actually okay hotels?
I think I'm past the point of backpacking, unfortunately. I know it would save me a lot of money, but probably more Airbnb and stuff, because I find Airbnb, then you can cook your own food and save money that way.
Right. Yeah, I guess because you'll be living there.
Yeah, I want to stay, like we want to be able to say, go to somewhere in Greece and stay there for 2 weeks.
Right.
And then go somewhere else for 1 to 2 weeks, like really set in stone. And by that stage, I hope I do have YouTube set up, and I'll probably work as we go along as well. That's the goal.
Travel blog, if you will.
Yes, I'd love to,
Do you reckon the YouTube would be Breana budget or travel with Bree? Like, what's the vibe?
Probably a mix of both, and then finding ways to save money while traveling without having to be a backpacker.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think travel, like budget traveling, they're like, oh, no, not for me. But I think there is other ways around it that isn't backpacking.
I would probably, unsolicited advice, probably do more of the lifestyle travel-y stuff.
Yeah.
Only because all your content isn't centered around money, then you don't have to be licensed.
Yeah.
That
definitely.
could be an easier way out.
And it's definitely a route I want to go down. Like, keep the stuff I do, but also add a bit of travel into it as well.
Yeah.
Without it having to just be budgeting. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Well, you can find Bree on Instagram at Bree on a Budget. We'll put a link to Bree's Instagram in the show notes and in the description on YouTube. Breana Davidson, thank you so much for joining us on
Thank you so much for
Money,
having
Money,
me.
Money.
It's been great. Thank you.
Bye. Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.